It's like, oh boy.
All right, we're on 312. We're going to do factoring the greatest common factor from a polynomial. When you hear the word from, that means we're like taking it out, okay? We're taking something out of it. And there's two ways to take things out, and a lot of times you'll think of it as subtraction, but really we're going to be dividing and taking out, okay?
Okay.
And so we're going to start off small. They have some bigger ones. We're going to do this. We're going to go 2x plus 4. We're going to ask ourselves, what can we divide out of both 2 and 4?
2.
Good. So I'm going to write the 2 there, okay? And we're going to do what is the backwards distributive property, okay?
Okay.
So when we're all done, if we did the distributive property, we would get this as an answer.
Okay.
When I divide 2 by 2, what do I get?
1.
1. And when I'm writing the 1, I don't really have to write it because I'm just going to write the x that's there. Okay? I'm going to bring down this plus, and I'm going to say 4 divided by 2 is how much?
2.
Okay, so I'll have a 2 here. And this is factoring the greatest common factor out. This is what they're wanting.
That's it?
That's it. And so if we were to check it, we could do 2 times x is 2x, and that's what this is. 2 times 2 is 4, and that's what this is. And so I could know that I have
right.
that answer, okay? So we're going to go a little bit higher up here. We're going to do another one. We're going to do the one they have here. 12x squared minus 4x plus 20. And we ask what's the highest number that I can divide out of all those? 12? 4. How much? 4. 4. Okay. So I write that 4 out front, okay? And then I put a parentheses. And we're doing, again, the backwards distributive property.
So 3x squared
3x squared
minus 1, or just x, plus 5.
Very good. And if I did the distributive property now, that would become 12x squared. That's what I want, right there. This would become negative 4x, and that's what I want. And this would become 20, and that's what I want, okay?
Okay.
And so this 4 is the greatest common factor. And you learned how to find the greatest common factor by doing your factor trees. It's the same as saying, the highest number that I can divide all of them by.
Oh, okay.
So let's do another one. This one. 6x to the third minus 21x squared. This time, not only are we going to look at the number, but we're going to look at the variables also. Okay? So with the numbers 6 and 21, what's the highest thing I can divide both of them by?
3.
Good.
And x. And the x.
I can take an x out of both of them, but I can take something a little higher.
X squared.
Yes. And remember the greatest common factor, since they're in common, it's the lowest of their numbers. So it's x squared. Okay? So then, we're first going to say 6 divided by 3 is what?
2x squared.
Yes, and it's
But now
x.
it'll just be 2x, right?
Yes, and you did say that right.
Okay.
And so, because we're pretty much, when we divide, we subtract the x1 is the 3 and the 2 is 1, right?
Right.
Okay.
And so then it would be 7.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 7.
Just 7. And this is an add or subtract in between them?
Add. Subtract.
Subtract because of this
A
one right there, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And then I could really actually do that. Bring it a little closer.
Okay.
Okay? And this, I have just factored it. And when we say factor, the word factor means we've broken it down into pieces of two things that multiply together.
Okay.
So these would be the factors. And this ends up being the product right here.
Okay.
When I multiply them together. Okay?
That's seriously it? There's no more after that?
No. Let's do another one.
Okay.
More letters, though, okay? So it gets bigger, but x to the fourth, yz, plus x to the third, y squared, minus x squared, z squared. And so we're going to look at all the letters. We're going to start with the x's. I have an x to the fourth, x to the third, and x to the second.
X to the third.
Second. Very good.
And
I have a y, and no y.
No y.
No y. I have a z, no z, and a z squared.
No z.
No z. Okay, so now that's my greatest common factor right there.
So then you've got x squared.
Uh-huh. And I keep the yz.
Yz
Okay.
plus x y squared
Good.
minus x, no x, just z squared.
Very good.
I like
And
this.
this is the two things multiplied together that will equal the product up there, okay?
Okay,
So we're going backwards instead of us. But most of the time we do 2 times 3, and we find the product of 6. Now they're giving us the product and asking us to find the two factors.
Okay. I like this. This is not hard.
Good. I think.
That's it, really? Like they don't add any steps after that?
Right. Now, there are times, not necessarily in the problems they're going to give you, there might be a time when there's no greatest common factor. But there, in the sense, there is a greatest common factor because there's always one, but there might not be anything other than one, and so you couldn't factor it. I don't believe they're going to do that. If there's no greatest common factor other than one, write no GCF.
Okay.
So there might be a time when you look at it and say, I can't divide anything by this. And so if you can't, then you're going to write there's no greatest common factor.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it.
All right, we're done.